I joined the Marines. I officially went to boot camp February 22nd of 2009. And I joined the Marines. I had a lot of other family members who were in the Marines before me. And then what was really like kind of the last deciding factor was I had a good friend I went to high school with, played sports with, you know, everything, practically my brother. People actually to this day, if we're next to each other, think we're related. But
okay, I'm Corporal Marcus Chile. I'm 23 years old and I've been in the Marine Corps for 6.5 years.
6.5 years. And how many deployments?
I've done 4 combat deployments.
4 combat deployments. So all in Afghanistan?
No, I've done 3 to Iraq and then 1 to Afghanistan.
Okay. Were you on the recent meal? The guy
No, I didn't have the pleasure of experiencing a ship. So yeah, I've been.
I don't know if that's a pleasure, bro.
Well, I think once you patrolling around all the time, I think it's nice to sit on a boat and bulk up and stuff. So.
So what's your rank?
I'm a corporal.
You're a corporal.
My name is Josue Barron, and I'm 21, and I'm a Lance Corporal.
Lance Corporal.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the Marines?
Going on 4 years already.
4 years.
Yeah.
And so you entered the Marines in 2007?
2007, that's correct.
2007. And did you go right to 3-5?
Yeah.
Right to 3-5.
Straight
Was
to
this one of your first deployments? How many deployments did you do?
Well, this was my first combat deployment.
Mm-hmm.
And I went on the MEU before this combat deployment.
My name is Thomas Charles Linville. I'm a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. Been in the Marine Corps for about 5.5 years, and I've been an EOD tech for about a year.
EOD tech, what does that mean?
It means explosive ordnance disposal. We take care of munitions fired at ranges in the United States, and then overseas we take care of any IED threat or any explosive hazard that the troops might encounter.
I'm Jesse Samuel Pearson. I'm 24 right now, and joined the Marine Corps 2006, January. I've been in ever since. Current unit's 3-5 and it has been since I came in, so it's where I reside right now.
I'm Corporal Justin McLeod, 23, and from St. Louis, really.
How long were you in the Marines?
I've been in the Marines for
have been in the Marines?
About 4.5 years.
4.5 years. How many tours?
2 combat and 1 MEU.
1 MEU. When it comes to the combat MEUs, where were you with those?
Combat, I was in Fallujah, Iraq, and then Sangin Afghanistan, this previous one.
And the MEU, what was it? That was the Asia Pacific tour, right?
That's like when you go to Japan, down the Philippines, Australia, and also Thailand. Or at least on my case, there's other MEUs.
Right.
My name is Nick Popovich. I've been in the Marine Corps 16 years.
And what rank are you?
Gunnery sergeant.
Gunnery sergeant.
Hurrah.
He had a shirt that said Army on it. So when we did this banner for his going away party, it had a picture of him, I think it was like 3rd or 4th grade, and then it had him at graduation in his dress blues, and then there was one of his senior pictures. And I specifically picked this picture because it said Army on the shirt, and then I always made the comment, "You've come a long way, baby." So I knew, you know, because he talked about being a police officer at one time, and military was right for him.
Mandy Linville.
Now, Mandy, how long have you been a Marine wife?
5 years?
5 years. And 2 kids?
Yes.
And
3 and 7 months. Taylor Bell and Dylan Capri.
What's it like to be a Marine wife?
Best job in the world. It's really stressful and it's frustrating because you're not the Marine, so you don't understand a lot of the stuff that, you know, makes us mad. You can't change it, you can't do anything about it. Like, hurry up and wait stuff.
Me and Amber McLeod, I'm 22 today, so.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
My name is April Popovich. I'm a Marine Corps URA wife of 16 years to Gunnery Sergeant Nick Popovich. Love the Marine Corps.
How did you meet?
I met Nick up in Oceanside near Camp Pendleton where he was stationed my cousin was married to a Marine, so went to visit her and found myself a guy.
Wow, a good guy.
Yeah, found myself a good guy.
I knew he'd be okay. Yeah, there was fear there. I mean, of course, it's the military, and with this day and age, I knew he'd be going to Afghanistan. My sister, on the other hand, wanted to shoot him in the foot, so he couldn't go. She wanted to shoot him before he went to boot camp. And I was proud of him. I still am very proud of him for what he's accomplished and what he's going to accomplish, because this isn't the end of Tommy Parker. You know, I think this Tommy is a better person, a bigger man, and he's a lot more humble. It's a phone call that no parent ever wants to get.
It's kind of overwhelming, you know, because I'd seen people get blown up. I'd treated people that got blown up, and when I got blown up, when I looked down and like realized I wasn't on the ground and everything, then I was like, whoa, you know, it was, I guess.
You realized you weren't on the ground?
Yeah, when I got blown up, what happened is.
So yeah, we hit, the rest of the main body stayed down in Sangin, and when they sent PMT team, the police mentor team, up to Kajaki Dam, and that's where I was when I got hurt.
Well, we were going out to look for this dead body that one of the snipers on post had killed, and we couldn't go out at night because at night you can't see the IEDs, so we were waiting for the morning.
Yeah, I remember stepping on it and the boom and going up, and then I remember going up, but then when I hit and everything, I don't really remember that. And then
we had a mission. It's a typical mission for the most part. Just go out there, check out this place that we got a little intel on. Went out there, came back on the way back, about 800 meters out. It was they said it was either RC or command wire. At least like the intel I have heard from back there, it was at least 20 pounds of H&M. So it was enough to make me body parts, even maybe pink misted me. But
got hit in 2004, the first Battle of Fallujah. I was commanding a tank, and the first Battle of Fallujah was a pretty good one. You know, I mean, I don't know how it's remembered historically or anything, but from on the ground, it was a very successful military operation, because what was going on there was kind of like the bad guys' surge, the insurgents. That was their little surge. And they tried to fight openly with us in the street. You know, they tried to fight toe-to-toe with us in the city of Fallujah.
I remember, stepping out, we were gonna step out to do a battle damage assessment, and then shortly after, about half the patrol left the wall. The interpreter said he started seeing some people, and then right after he said that, they started lighting it up, and we did what we were supposed to do. We tried to identify the threat, return the fire, and shortly after the fire started coming, me and the interpreter went back up the hill, and then started a return fire, and that's when I got hit. So.
Oh my God, I was totally blindsided. I was at Walmart. The guy called me, and he was, it was like the worst way to approach what had happened. He said, "Hi, Gunny Sergeant so-and-so, and I've got some really bad news about your husband." Well, our residency is California. I was back home in Missouri, and I wasn't even home. I was at Walmart. So, I immediately, my mind goes to the absolute worst thing. And I just asked him if he could just wait a second before I just started like lose it in Walmart. And then I get to the door and I finally ask him if he was alive, because I had no idea. And he said, "Yes, ma'am, he's alive." And I was just, the rush of relief that went over me was just overwhelming. And I just broke down, and then I asked him what happened. And then he told me, he's hit by an IED. And our initial report was both legs below the knee, and then he had really badly damaged his left arm.
I tried not to cry when I first heard, because he's always telling me to, without saying so, he's always like, "Suck it up, like, it's fine." When he told me that he was blown up, when he told me he was at Leatherneck, I was like, great, who got hurt? Because I knew they only go to Leatherneck for if somebody got hurt. And I just remember I was like, okay, okay, to like everything he said, like I couldn't get any other words out. And when he told me that he stepped on an IED, well, his team leader had just stepped on an IED 30 days prior, and it was like horrible. So the first thought that came to my head was, oh my gosh, it's a repeat. And And he's like, I have my legs. And I was just like, okay. And he goes, as long as you don't care about a missing finger, we're good. I was like, a finger, really?
Either they come home or they don't. You don't think about half of them coming home and what it does to your life and their life. You know, their life especially. His life will never be the same, but God has big plans for him.
Yes, he does.
No sooner than we got up to Big Bear that night at 1:30 in the morning, I received a phone call on my cell phone letting me know, informing me that my husband was wounded. But it was a little confusing at first because the phone call came in, we regret to inform you, which kind of really threw me off, you know, because normally that would be the phone call, you know, if your loved one died in battle.
We were walking and my ears felt funny. Kind of like anybody that plays football can understand when your ear holes get slapped. It kind of like the pressure hits your eardrums and you feel like, I don't know, like you're mentally delayed. And I felt kind of like that, and I'd heard a click, which was my left eardrum blown in. And then I looked down, you know, because you look down periodically to make sure you're on the tracks or whatever, you know. And I noticed, whoa, I'm not on the ground. And that's when like the realization clicked that, wow, I just stepped on an IED, you know, like.
Did you hear it? Did you?
No, the blast is so loud you don't hear it.
I missed the first call when they called. And then when I saw I had missed a call and didn't recognize the number, I said, oh, I missed a call from Tommy. And I saw I had a voicemail, so I called my voicemail. And the first thing they said was, this is the United States Marine Corps. We're trying to reach Lisa M. Jennison. And I knew. I knew he was alive because they weren't standing at my door. But I knew there was something wrong. And it's, yeah, the worst phone call you could ever get.
Doing a regular movement to contact patrol out there, you know, trying to find the Taliban enemy forces. And it was pretty early in the morning, about 8 o'clock. We started receiving some enemy fire. So, you know, we do what we do best, and we started handling the situation. And, you know, going back, trying to do an ammo run for our 240 gunner, and you know, stepped on an IED. I think immediately it took me about a good 2 seconds to figure out, you know, what happened. Kind of felt like someone just, you know, pushed me really hard. Yeah, kind of dazed a little bit, you know, flipped twice, hit the ground. You know, just immediately started looking around, trying to figure out what was going on. Saw that, you know, my left leg definitely, you know, was going to be an immediate amputation. They did a limb salvage for my right leg, and just did a lot of good surgeries, you know, that helped me pull me through. So the corpsman that was with the, we had a 312 India battery company with us out there, so they were a good asset. We had one of their corpsmen, you know, take care of me pretty well.
So as soon as the sun came out, we went out there. Me, my squad leader, and one of the engineers went out there, and it was probably like 50 meters away from our fob where we lived, and we couldn't find. We didn't see no body. There was just, the grass was just tilted like if someone was laying there, but there was nobody. There was nobody. And on our way back, I don't know, I still don't know who stepped on an ID. It was me or the engineer, but it took both of his legs out, and it took my left leg.
So you were close to him?
Yeah, well, we were really close, yeah. We were real close. Like we didn't think that there was an ID that close to our fob. And it got both of us. It got both of us, and yeah, it just got both of us.
Yeah, the guys were yelling at me. I just wanted to know if I was okay, and I remember kind of being dazed and coming to, and you know, my hand, you know, blood was pouring down my arm, and then my leg hurt, and I was kind of back like this, and so I looked forward. And at that point, I realized that, you know, I still had both my boots, and you know, at that point, you know, the hand wasn't an issue. I took out a tourniquet and put a tourniquet on my hand, just stopped the bleeding on my hand. I was just, you know, I have my legs. So, and you know, as you see, a lot of the guys here, you know, they've had much worse injuries. And
well, after I, you know, got, you know, blew up, I knew I hit an IED, or, you know, got hit by an IED. You know, landed, went to reach for my gun, grab my gun, went to, like, you know, bring it up, and fell forward, I looked down, my arm, you could see my arm all mangly and stuff was broken. It's just like bones sticking out everywhere. And then my buddy, that was the sweeper, I started hearing him yell from the side of me, so I tried to jump up to go run to him to help him out. I fall back down, and I look at my legs were all just, you know, mangled up and stuff. So the time like they came there to start testing me, I was like calling to my buddy just with my arm like that.
Now that's one of the things we do very well as a Marine Corps, because usually the counterinsurgency, one of the most frustrating things is trying to find them. But in Fallujah, they came out and they tried to go toe-to-toe with us in the street. So it was very successful, you know, so it was a good operation. And, you know, but unfortunately some of the good guys get hit on these sorts of things, and I was one of those guys. I was leading an attack in the Jolan district. I was commanding a tank, I was in the lead, I had my wingman about half a block back behind me, and I had a platoon of infantry that I was working with. And we were, you know, going block to block in the city, things were going really good. And I just engaged a squad-sized element of insurgents, put half of them down in a corner, and the other half went around the corner. Got away into an alley. So I pursued them down this, I guess it was a roadway, a very narrow roadway though. No, I had my wingman behind me. And and that's normally the way the tanks will operate. You'll have one in the lead who does the mission, and the one in the back that covers the tank in the lead. And now we were moving so fast that we left our infantry back, because it was just the speed we were operating at. You know, they were staying in the rooftops a couple blocks back. So I'm pursuing this about half a dozen insurgents down this alley, and they're going doorway to doorway. We're engaging with machine gun and pursuing them, and head down to it. The road's getting narrower and narrower. It's getting so narrow I can't even traverse my turret anymore. And then, but you know, I still got 2 machine guns. I got a caliber 50 up top where I'm at. My loader has a 240 machine gun, so we're still in the fight. So I just keep pursuing. It gets so narrow, you know, that it's really tight. And I'm heading into a crossroad, and you know, and that's a pretty good place. The tank's probably going to get hit from the flanks, but that's no problem. You know, I say M1A1 main battle tank. It can soak up a lot of damage. That's why we fight with it the way we do. We just put it out front and let it take a lot of hits. You know, it kind of draws the enemy out a little bit. You know, so it's no problem. So I put my loader down below the armor line. I hunkered down, and I went in that intersection. I scanned to the right, and there's an insurgent. He's up on the rooftop. He's already got the rocket in his shoulder, and he's ready to fire. And he's close. He's about 50 feet away, so he's not going to miss. Even as bad as these guys shoot, he's not going to miss at that range. He's really close. But no problem. The tank's really good, so I'm not worried about it. I'm going into my machine gun to engage him, because the 50 cal, he can, you know, the building he's in, he's not going to be able to get away. He can hide behind walls, whatever. The 50 is going to shoot right through it. So I'm feeling pretty good about the whole situation, you know. And he shoots, his rocket comes in, hits the right front of my turret, doesn't penetrate, doesn't do anything. So I'm swinging my machine gun over, and I heard it like a split second before it hit me. I heard that hiss that an RPG makes. It was a second shooter. I never seen him. And I hear this, you know, as it cuts through the air, and then bam! I mean, it felt like I got hit in the head with a sledgehammer. I saw this like blinding white flash of light, like a camera flash, and then nothing, just darkness. Just I wasn't unconscious, but I couldn't see anything. It just was black dark.
So I was just, it was a lot of, I was grateful and happy that he called so soon after he got hurt. It was weird to hear the adrenaline in his voice, because he's always the one taking care of us, so it was weird to hear him vulnerable. But it was just really reassuring to get to hear his voice and know that he was okay. Either he'll lie to me and say he's okay even if he's not, but there was also a little bit of kind of guilt, like, well, how does he step in an IED and get so lucky when, you know, one of our closest friends steps on an IED and doesn't get so lucky? And so it was a lot of mixed feelings, but mainly it was just, I was happy that he was okay and that he called and didn't get a knock at the door, because that's every wife's worst fear, is the knock on the door.
Yeah, and it was a little strange too, because I wasn't you know, we lived on base and I wasn't there either. So it kind of threw me off. I was like, okay, this makes sense. They're calling me here because they can't reach me. But they told me he was VSI. They didn't, you know, kind of just breezed over it, but what meant very seriously injured in critical condition.
I couldn't see the guy that hit me, but I could see somebody out there, and that's who I was returning fire at, and somebody, you know, started shooting from another direction, and that's what got me.
Yeah, there were 3 different shooters. He saw one of them was returning fire to one. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. and was returning fire to one. And then Chris Montgomery was returning fire to one, and then I was returning fire to one. We saw 3 separate shooters. And then when he pushed up, me and Chris from Montgomery stayed on the side hill returning fire, and then I ran up to him, and Chris ran down. And then right after I got through the door, he was trying to show me where it was so we could continue to return fire, because we still had part of the squad at the base of the hill, and that's when he got hit in the arm.
And I was just like, even though it had been happening and happening and happening, tons of people getting hurt. I knew about Sergeant Humphrey who lost his one leg, you know, people dying. Like, you still don't ever expect anything to happen to you. It never happens to you. And then when he kept going on about details, I was just like, oh my God, like, this is my whole life. Like, I have to be a caretaker, you know, he's always gonna depend on me. Like, I have my son, and I was just like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And it was 3 days later is when I finally got to talk to him about everything. And it was just, I mean, I guess I had really mixed emotions, because at first I thought he was dead, and then to hear that he was alive, even though he was missing 2 limbs at the time, I mean, I was just so grateful that he was still here.
Never went into shock or blacked out. I was conscious between when the blast happened and when I got put under anesthesia on the helicopter.
So I remember you telling me yesterday about when you got on the helicopter, you had the femur being broke had severed your artery.
Yes, that's my left femur had been shattered and had cut my artery above the tourniquet, and I was bleeding into my pelvic cavity. So they had to cut above my leg and clamp the artery.
Or essentially you would have bled to death in the helicopter.
There's a good possibility, you know, I mean, I can't really like speak for the medical personnel and know if I would have or not. I know that that you can bleed to death in your pelvic cavity, but I don't know if I would have.
Yeah, definitely. You blue sky, ground, blue sky, and then just down, you know, and it doesn't take, you know, like I said, about 1, 2, and you're just like, oh crap, I just stepped on an IED.
Any pain?
I think it just, when people ask me that, tons of pressure. I couldn't, I mean, I knew I was hurt, but just tons of pressure, kind of just like unimaginable. But yeah, you could definitely feel a lot of pain everywhere. But yeah, I just remember feeling a lot of pressure on my left leg.
I remember everything, I just couldn't see.
You couldn't see?
I couldn't see, I was blind. I was blind, but I could hear everything. And I was talking to people, and I could feel the pain. I could feel the pain for like the first 2 minutes, I could feel it. And after they put morphine on me, I was good. I was good, and I was just talking to the Marines, but I couldn't see anything.
It wasn't too much at first. A couple weeks, about a week and a half before my best friend, Corporal Aaron Little, got shot, and first thing I asked him what it felt like, and he said it felt like someone just gives you a dead arm. And that was the first thing I felt, and I thought to myself, like, man, that's it. And then I got up and ran inside, and that's when the corpsman started lifting my arm to see what was wrong, and that's when I realized it was pretty painful because it hit the bone, and that was it.
From the time I got hit, helicopter flew in, took me to the medical facility in Afghanistan, and then I underwent hand surgery just to clean up my hand, and they scanned my foot because I was all closed fractures in my foot. My foot was shattered, but it was all closed fractures, so there was nothing. They just splinted my foot, did hand surgery in my hand, and then I think 6 days later I was in the United States. So it was fairly fast for most.
We had foe in the area, so it took a little while. It took like, I think, 25 minutes for the healer to get there. So, I mean, other than that, I was pretty much joking around. My lieutenant was kind of, you know, telling me to stay in there and all that stuff. But I forget, I made some comment saying like, oh, you can't take me for runs no more, or just bullshitting, you know, kind of deal.
So you're joking with him?
Yeah, I was joking with him, man.
And I couldn't hear anything. There was just this hum in my ears, like static, like just like a humming. So I stood up because I didn't know what else. You know, I was rattled pretty good. You know, I'd been hit in the head by a rocket, so I didn't know. I didn't really know what else to do. But I stood up, and then so I knew I was conscious, and I couldn't see or I couldn't hear anything. And then kind of slowly, my faculties started coming back. So I was trying to talk on my radio, but because that's connected to your helmet in a tank helmet, but the helmet had been blown apart, so it wasn't even on my head anymore.
They called us. He was actually on the main base in Afghanistan, and they were hoping that within the next 24 hours he would be going to Germany. We didn't have to do anything as far as flights. The Marine Corps took care of all of that. Our flights, our hotel, I mean, they took care of everything. We didn't have to worry about anything.
The corpsman was actually at a different firing position, probably a good 50, 75 meters away. He heard the blast, saw it, me go up and stuff like that, and he just mad dashed, through everything. Usually we like to, clear paths, make sure there's no other secondary IDs. I don't think he worried about that. He just wanted to hurry up and get to me. There was the Afghan soldier or Afghan police that was behind me, kind of shadowing me as we're doing the patrols and stuff like that. That's the purpose of the PMT team. So yeah, he took some pretty good shrapnel. They don't have as good a gear we have, so he took some pretty good shrapnel to his chest and his arms and stuff like that. What happened to him is really I don't know. So, but I know he got medevaced in the same bird I did.
I lost leg. I broke my middle finger, and I took shrapnel to the face, and they got my left eye, and now I'm blind from my left eye. And then my right eye, I got a scar in there, but I can still see though. I can see.
I think they would react how any parent would react when they get that phone call, but I think they took it pretty well. I mean, I tried to give them a call as soon as I got out of surgery, and then they've been, really supportive on everything. Everything I can ask for, they've been there for, and I couldn't ask for more than that.
The ring finger's amputated, the distal from like here up, and then the middle finger, they've tried to reconstruct it the best they could. We don't really know the outcome of that yet. Next week I get the pin out and we'll see.
And the leg is okay?
Yeah, it should be. I've got a plate in there right now, and because I shattered a calcaneus fracture, and then I shattered 3 other bones on the outside of my foot, and I've got like a 7-inch plate, and it's kind of got it all screwed together right now. So they removed that in May, I think, and then our physical therapy everything should work good after that. Let's hope.
When I got on the bird, they stuck me in the chest with a huge needle and then put me out under anesthetics and stuff. So I was pretty much, next time I woke up, I was in Bethesda.
So you were out, they put you out all the way home?
Yeah, I was pretty much, I don't know how long I was out. I think I was out for a little while though. But I wasn't in Bethesda, I was in Bastion still, my bad. I was in Bastion still.
I totally thought I was a widow when he first called. I totally thought I had lost my husband. And then to hear that he was alive, I didn't care what was missing on him. I was just, he was coming home to me, I was gonna have my husband. So I couldn't even be too upset. I think it took me all of a few hours to realize that everything was gonna be okay. Because, you go from like, oh my God, how am I gonna raise this kid on my own? I have no idea what to do, to knowing that at least he's gonna be here for Desmond's first day of school and graduation and everything, and I'm not gonna be alone for the rest of my life. So after realizing that at least he was here, that it'll be okay. We'll make it through this. One way or another, we'll find the strength inside each other to get through everything that we need to get through, because at least I still had him to help me and to lean on a little bit. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Above the knee amputation on my left leg, metacarpal fracture. I almost lost my thumb on my left hand, and some radial nerve damage from some shrapnel wounds and stuff like that. So they did a limb salvage on this leg. I lost most of the quad muscle, but the leg still functions, pretty well. So.
Yeah, it seems like you have plenty of strength.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things that came back was the leg first. So absolutely, they did a really big giant, skin graft. It goes from the top of my groin area all the way down to the bottom or the top of the knee. So
we're in Fallujah when after the tank was hit, the crew, again, like Nick told you, the wonderful crew, they got themselves back to safety, which was where the pool media, the pool photographers, the television cameras and everything were kind of in I guess I don't know if it was just in the safer zone. Yeah, safe zone. They got them back there, and once they started evacuating, the CNN and everybody, the cameras were there. So the first images of Nick that came in were bloody images of him getting off the tank, getting medevaced out of there. And so if I chose at that point to, after I was notified, to turn on the TV and see him, I could have, but I was warned from the command, stay away from the television, you don't want to see what's on TV. And in the very beginning, I don't know if people realize this, instantly when war footage comes back, sometimes it's an unedited, and it could be pretty graphic, and they stream it, and then afterwards, like days later, what they'll start to do is they'll kind of take away more of the graphic content. So by the time, maybe a month later when I did, and my sons both saw the footage, it was a little more cleaned up than what originally was on TV.
I was totally blind for a period of time. What had happened is I'd been hit on the right side of my head, and when a grenade exploded, a pretty good piece of shrapnel went in my right temple. That's what blew the right eye out. Went through and ended up behind my left eye on my left optic nerve, and actually knocked my left eye down into my sinus cavity. So it was a number of surgeries and a lot of great work to actually restore any sight in this eye. So originally at first, when I was totally blind, there was this thought that I'm gonna get my sight back, that I'm gonna, it's just a matter of healing, good operation or whatever, and then I'm gonna get my sight back, get back on a tank and get back in the fight. That's just kind of how my brain was wired. And then as the more doctors I started seeing, the more the news was starting to change. The first doctor talked to me and he said, get used to it, Gunny, you're gonna be blind the rest of your life. And so me and my wife, we talked about it and we said, well, okay, we could do this. I can figure out whatever the heck it is blind people do and become the best in the world at it. I can do this. And then I saw the next doctor, and the next doctor said, I don't know, Gunny, the eye's all full of blood. For all the more we know, it may come back 100%. And I said, well, forget all that blind stuff. I'm gonna go with this doctor. And then, the truth was somewhere in between. I would end up losing 92% of the vision in this eye, and it's legally blind. It says 8% of the vision left in it, and which is compared to 0%, 8% is like 1,000,000%. But at that point, then the reality starts to hit you that your trigger pulling days are done, and and it's that's the toughest part of it, I guess, is going through that part, because then. I love being a Marine, but one of the things I love about the Marine Corps was that this is the tough team. So if you can't pull triggers anymore, it's time for you to find a new line of work. And figuring out what that was going to be, or what I was going to do other than be a Marine, because I was a career guy. I'd been in 16 years. This is what I'd done my whole adult life. So what I was going to do after that, that took a little a little time.
I didn't put on a tourniquet. Our corpsman felt that he needed one, so our corpsman put one on him. But I helped, I cut his shirt sleeves off. I wrapped his arm in a pressure dressing. Helped get the IV started. Just simple stuff like that. It wasn't. In comparison, he got relatively lucky. He still got wounded regardless. Whether it was a gunshot or blown up, he still got wounded serving his country, but he got relatively lucky, because the gunshot could have been somewhere a lot worse. It could have, so.
Actually, they had a British helicopter come in, passing by, flew by. It only took 23 minutes from the time I actually got hurt till the bird touched down and I was out of there. So that was a really good thing, because for Kajaki area, usually they were saying it takes about an hour for them to get a medevac bird out there. So we get to Bastion Medical Center there. They do a lot of my life-saving surgeries there, and my parents actually meet me in Germany and through my transition to Bethesda Hospital in Maryland. So my parents got to see me just a day and a half after I had gotten injured.
She was all right, because I think she got the phone call from me. I was coherent enough when I got to the place where they had a sat phone. And she knew something was up, because I said, hey, I'm in Leatherneck, and there would be no reason for me to be there. And I stepped on an ID, but I'm okay. I know she was a little shaken up, because a month prior, my team leader lost both his legs. And that was a pretty traumatic event, because she dealt with helping the wife, because she was the wife's really good friend in Okinawa. That's where we're from, or stationed anyway. And she dealt with that whole issue for about a month, and it was really only a month between his injury and my injury. So she was a little shaken up, but after I told her what was wrong, and I think she was just thankful. Well, he got hurt, but he's alive, and move forward from there. I think.
I'm the only son in my family, so my mom definitely took it, really hard. She's done 3 deployments before. The first one was really rough for her. 17 years old, heading to Iraq. But then after that, she kind of got into the flow of motion. So this was kind of just another deployment for her. But once we got hurt, it definitely changed into, it really affected her a lot. So and same thing. I have 4 sisters and my dad. Everybody kind of took it really hard, seeing as I'm the only boy in the military.
Right. Where are you from?
Arizona, Phoenix. Yeah, Phoenix is where I live.
Oh, no, I chose not to see the video. It was described to me by friends that served with Nick. Stay away from the TV, don't look at don't look at the video, because he was bloody. And he was, obviously blown up by the RPG, bloody and missing an eye. So it would have been a harsh thing for us to see at that point. So I followed their advice. I basically kept my calm as best I could because I was the driver. Big Bear is a pretty treacherous road downhill, and especially to leave in the middle of the night with 2 children and my friend who really didn't drive much. So what I did was I just kept calm, went to the AM/PM, had a coffee, talked with the clerks there, and they were kind enough to kind of sit there and kind of calm me, so it was really nice. Again, like Nick talks about, just strangers that popped into your life that were there for you when you needed them. In this case, in the 3 o'clock in the morning, it was the 2 people working at AM/PM sat with me, and I told them a few things. But I managed to get through the night, and in the morning when the sun came up, we headed down the hill. When we came into the gates and into where we lived on base, we were met by the command and all the support network of people that were there for us.
Right after we'd gotten inside the compound wall again, I asked him, I said, hey, I've been hit, and he probably told me I didn't or something because he didn't want to freak me out, but once we got inside the compound, obviously you start seeing the blood start soaking up on the cami, so we realized something was wrong, and they took me in, took my gear off, and then started doing the assessment on the arm. And then while the corpsman was throwing on the tourniquet, Tommy started putting on the pressure dressing, and I went into a little shock right after that, and started turning pale and sweating, and I realized I needed an IV, and so I told him, hey, get an IV, and Tommy was right on it, put it in, and did everything for me pretty much, so he was looking out for me pretty damn good.
I still look at my son, and I want to run out of the room screaming and crying, because it's hard for me to fathom only half of him. And I've been doing this for 3 months. And I'll walk over to the bed to wake him up in the morning saying there's only half of him there, and it rips my heart out at what he has to go through. But the only thing we can do now is be there for him, support him, love him. I know he's gonna have good days and bad days, and I'm very thankful that right now he's had very few bad days. He's such an upbeat, motivated kid that I think God picked him to do this because God knew he would survive, because he is a survivor. And I asked him here a while back, I said, who was in front of you? And he told me the kid's name, I don't remember what it was, and I said, had he stepped on it, would he have survived? And he said, no, Mom. 10 of them walk over it, they go do their job. 9 of them walk over it the second time. He's the 10th one, and he steps on it. God picked him for a reason, because God knew he would survive. He said any of those boys in front of him probably wouldn't be where Tommy is today.
Out from December 11th at, I bet it was probably 5:30, till December 14th at, I don't know, sometime, I don't know when.
3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I was out for 3 days, almost 4 days. I woke up in Bethesda, took my mom and my Uncle Rick, had a breathing tube in, started to panic, and then so they sedated me again, put me back out until the following day. Or later that day, I don't know exactly, I was so confused on dates there for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. They kept me in a drug-induced coma for about 2 days just to, make sure that, the body was going to heal really good. I don't think they really wanted me awake with the types of surgeries that I went through. So yeah, after, opening my eyes, I tried to figure out, the first thing I asked was what happened, how far did they, get to have to amputate because of the injury? And they said just above the knee. So that was kind of a good relief. I'm glad, it didn't go all the way up or any farther than that. And then I asked for a mirror so I could check my face. I was afraid. I couldn't tell, if my face was hurt. I looked at my face and I turned to my mom. I was like, okay, we're good. Like, I can live without the lave. And she was just like, she had a big smile on her face to kind of see me wake up and be in an okay, good mood.
This is a sea leg, and the way the knee bends is by putting your weight on it, and you gotta load the toe. So whenever you put your weight on it and you load the toe, the knee bends. So, and that's the only thing it has, just the knee that bends. And it's one of my it's the first leg I get, so I'm getting used to it. And as soon as I get used to it, I could get another leg and just move on and get different legs. But this is the one they start me off with, and it's pretty good. I could walk pretty good and everything.
Doing great. Got a lot of support. The therapists are doing their job. I mean, at first I couldn't move my arm more than a 90-degree angle. It was stuck at looked like an L. And then ever since then, I've been going for about 2.5 months now, and every day they continue to make it work and do their magic. And now I almost got full strength in my arm. So
at first, glad being back and stuff. And I kind of have always believed I can get through stuff. I mean, pretty much life has a reason for everything, so I can't really remember the feelings too much. Yeah, keep me pretty drugged up, so.
Right.
We went to Bethesda, Maryland. We landed the same time he did, and we actually got to the hospital about a half hour before he did. And we were standing outside when his ambulance pulled up.
What do you remember about that?
I was expecting the worst, but I was very thankful that what I saw was the best I could have seen. Yes, he had a lot of tubes. He was ventilated. There was a lot of equipment sitting on his chest just because he was on a gurney and they had no place to put it. A zillion people, unloading him and wheeling him into the hospital. They let us follow him into the hospital, down to ICU, but once they took him into ICU, then they told us to come back in an hour or so once they got him set in bed. But they did let us, speak to him. I don't know that he remembers that because he was pretty out of it.
Try not to just freak out all the time. If I don't have anything to stress about, I don't stress. But when there's a lot going on, you can ask him, I just the stupidest thing will happen and I'm freaking out. And it's because my stress level is always at a 95%. And then one little thing, oh, my shoelace broke. Well, that's a 5% right there. Now I'm at 100. So now I'm crying over my shoelace breaking. It's stupid stuff. So it happens. It's when I don't have to be crying and stressing out, I don't like to be. I like to be happy. I like to know that everything, I know everything's gonna be okay. I like to know that I can be happy, I can have a chance. We went to the mall last night, we've gone to the mall a few times since he's been back, and it was just us last night, and it was great, I like to turn off that everything's going on. I like to try and focus on the now, like I was saying, one day at a time. I like to see, okay, right now, he's not hurting, he's not in any pain, Desmond doesn't need me, so I can chill, I can be happy for a minute. But, I guess I just hate when people act like I don't have sadness for what happened to him. I do, I hate that this happened to him. But at the same time, I know crying and being mad about it all the time isn't gonna get us anywhere. If I cry for 10 years straight, it's not gonna make his legs grow. It's not, his arm's not gonna magically reappear. I'm just wasting my time, basically. So it's easier to just suck it up, say, okay, this sucks, move on, let's live our lives the best we can, and just go about business as usual, I guess, best we possibly can.
Hard to not stare because you're curious, and it's kind of shocking to see when you're not exposed to it every day. It's eye-opening. You look around and it's just...
It is amazing. It's to see the pride.
Yeah, and to see them get up on their legs for the first time, those guys, that's really cool to watch. they just like light up and they just get up, and when they talk about standing up, they're just so excited. And it's something so simple that we take for granted, like that we can just get up. Well, these guys can't anymore, and they used to. And so when they're able to do it, it's just the coolest thing to hear them talk about it, because that's all you like. When you see somebody without their legs, you're like, oh man, are they gonna be able to walk again? Well, there's actually a guy, he had to push back his wedding because he's trying to be able to get up and walk. He lost just the right leg. And he's working his butt off trying to be able to walk for that wedding, and it's just really cool to see how like excited he gets when he moves up levels and stuff. So
it wasn't really told to me. I kind of like pieced it together through like looking and feeling, and you know, because when I first woke up, because when I got blown up, the amputation was below my knee, and so then when I woke up, I was expecting it to be below my knee. And then I didn't have a left leg at all. And I was like, whoa, where did it go, you know? But so in the first couple of days in ICU, but I didn't completely grasp it until I was taken off of a medicine called ketamine. It's a painkiller that has a side effect of hallucinations. And so I had a like crazy, for like the first 3 or 4 days I was in the hospital, I had like dreams and all sorts of stuff that I had dreams I was still in Afghanistan, dreams that my hospital bed was in Afghanistan, that I was like sitting in the entryway to the house we lived at in Afghanistan, and all sorts of stuff.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Sounds like a powerful drug.
It is. There was another person in the hospital that was on ketamine that had hallucinations that there was Taliban trying to get into his room. Like he was freaking out and screaming, and so it's a powerful drug.
On when Nick was being triaged, he was, you know, around the world, going from Fallujah, from what they call the animal hospital, then I don't know why, and then to Germany, and then to Bethesda. They offered to send me, but then we were a little afraid that if I flew that way, then he would make his way this way, so we'd miss each other. So I really just had to be patient and wait. So what I ended up doing is, you know, even civilian people offered to fly me over to Germany, and I told them thank you, but I think I'll miss Nick if I go the other direction. So. I waited patiently and waited all the way till he got here to Balboa Hospital, San Diego, California.
When we got to come back an hour later, he opened his eyes and saw us there, myself and my brother. And he said it made it 30,000 times better, opening his eyes and having us there. And we stayed with him as long as we could, but he was fighting the breathing tube, and that was heart-wrenching for me, to see him suffer and struggle like he was with all that. And so they gave him some more meds to essentially calm him down, put him back out. And then when we got back there the next morning, the breathing tube was out, and we got to talk with him. And I told him that night, I said, honey, I'm here and it's gonna be okay. And he shook his head yes. So I knew he was gonna be okay. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
I was at Bethesda for 7 weeks.
7 weeks.
Yes.
And after Bethesda, you were sent here to San Diego.
Yes.
And this is where you will be doing a majority of your recovery.
This is where I will do the rest of my recovery. They have from what I've heard and experienced, they have a pretty good prosthetic program here. And so, you know, that was one of the decisions I made to come here. And like we talked about earlier, the brotherhood, I wanted to get back. I wanted to, you know, I knew that I had a friend here, Lance Corporal Jeff Grosky, another friend, Corporal Jesse Pearson. You know, I wanted to get back and see all those guys, and you know, because I wasn't there when Grosky got blown up, and I felt really bad for that. And then I was there when I helped treat Pearson, and you know, I wanted to just get back and see all my boys. I wish that my team leader Chris from Montgomery would have came here, but he went to Texas, so, you know.
A lot of what I see is, like when my mother-in-law was here, her eyes were just like peeled open. She had no idea what it meant to see like what a wounded warrior was. She always has that fear like I do in the back of her head. It's like, oh gosh, what if Charlie gets hurt? But she's never seen anything like what she saw when she saw Balboa. And a lot of people just don't know. They have no idea what it means to be a wounded warrior. And because of that, like we went to breakfast the first week we were here, and these people at the restaurant, well, what'd you do? Did you break your leg skiing? And we're like, oh yeah, you know, Charlie, he doesn't like to talk about, you know, he doesn't like to be like, oh, I got hurt in Afghanistan, you know, to draw attention. So he would just be like, oh yeah, I did, you know, and joke around with them. But really it's just, people are just oblivious to the reality of what's going on over there. So maybe just a way to like say, hey, this is what's happening to our guys. Like this, you know, nobody, like there's so many people who truly just don't know what happens to our guys. Like, okay, a Marine got hurt, okay, but they don't see it. So they don't see what he's having to go through every day, like the amputees that we're seeing at occupational therapy all the time. Like, it's just, people need to know. They need to know that there are guys out there who really need some support and some help.
I was just so relieved that he was standing right there on American soil, Balboa Hospital, and he was finally there. You know, you worry about all the way the trip home, you know, the hospitals, not their expertise, just from place to place on airplanes and battle zones and transportations, you know. So just relieved, and just ran up to him and hugged him, and a whole busload of them were dropped off. And I was really surprised that they're even coming home with missing parts and taped up, and they looked sort of like kind of what I saw in the old films as POWs, because they all had long hair, you know, not long hair, but you know, pretty good amount of hair on their head. They were in sweats. They were, you know, he was pretty, you know, scarred up, and yeah, in the sweats, and they kind of looked like sort of POW looking to me, you know. And so, but just happy to see him and all the guys that were on the bus get off and be home.
No pain. The pain went away probably a month ago, and there's no pain. Usually you feel that phantom pain when you feel like your leg's still there, but some people are different. Some people just, they live like that for a couple months or for a long time, and some other people, it goes away after a while. And after you start walking and you think like this is your real leg, and you just picture it like it's your real leg, and you start walking, you know, that phantom pain goes away. Yeah.
Saying I don't know how you do it, because I don't know how I do it either. Like, everyone always tells me, I don't know how you put yourself through this, I don't know how you handle everything. I don't. Like, I just look like I do. So I just pretend this is a facade, that everything is all together. No, it's not. Just understand that it's stressful for us too. We're not robots. We have feelings, we have emotions, you know, it sucks. I cry, you know, I'm not emotionalist. Like, I have my moments, but I hate when people feel like they're putting me on a pedestal by telling me how strong I am, because really in the reality it's like you have no idea that I am losing my freaking mind right now. Like, I'm nowhere, like, in any kind of sanity, like, kind of like a duck paddling. You don't see it, but they're freaking going crazy underneath. I'm a duck. That's me. So.
You know, I made a comment back home when we were there for a week. Actually, I think I said it before that. A mother gives birth to a child, but it's the family and community that help raise that child. I didn't do it on my own. Everybody that's been around him has had a hand in who he is today. Everybody, from family, friends, teachers, you know, just, it wasn't just me. Yeah. I'll leave the glasses off so you don't get the glare.
Okay. Coach, I need your hand just a little closer. There. That's better. Thank you.
Yeah. I couldn't, he was right next to me in the hospital when we were in Balboa, and I couldn't see him. I could hear him, but I couldn't see him because I was blind for the first 3 months, and I couldn't see him, and they were like, his name is just Chili, and I thought they were saying just like, it was a nickname, like just chillin' or just chilly, and it was funny. After I got to San Diego, I got over here, I was able to see him, and he looked different.
What were you thinking?
I thought he was a tall guy, and but he's a little short guy. But
A little bulldog, that's right. A little bulldog, a little chesty.
That's right. Yeah.
Chilly.
Chili.
Yeah, just Chili. That's why people just call me Chili.
Oh.
Oh, your writing pen.
Sorry,
That just doesn't look right. All right, 1, 2, thank you.
Thank you, Chili.
Sweet, yeah, appreciate it.
Bud.
Thanks for
Nice
the time.
to meet you, buddy.
You too, man.
I've heard you.
Me, Amber McLeod. I'm 22 today. So,
Happy birthday.
well, thank you.
Just lean in a little bit closer. Perfect. 1. Thank you. Okay, 1. Say cheese.
Cheese.
Do you have sandwich in your mouth?
Great. Oh, perfect.
You are a beautiful woman, and you're a beautiful man. You guys are a great couple. Thank you so much. Thank you, Justin, for letting us bug you in your home. And, I wanted to interview you because I've been following you, and so to me, this is an honor for me. It's an honor, and so it's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you very much. I think it's an honor for all of us.
Me, mo.
Do you want some water or something?
No,
like
I'm
that?
good. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm pretty good.
Go back,
Oh yeah.
Tommy.
In a heartbeat. I said to you yesterday when I first got back, even with my injuries, I felt like I abandoned them. Like,
Yep.
my guys are, they're still over there, sleeping on the ground, eating MREs, and I'm over here, eating decent food, sleeping in a warm, bed, comfortable bed at night, and I've minimal stress in my life. They're getting shot at, wondering if tomorrow's going to be their last day, wondering, is it going to be my turn to step on an IED, and I'm sitting here relaxing. And so in a heartbeat, I would take anybody's place over there.
For our honor. Start over.